Ben and Malone, and welcome back to another episode of the NerdTalk podcast. I'm Alex, here as always with Vance.
Hello.
And today we are bringing you part 2 of one of our earlier episodes, Books to Movies That Sucked. A couple weeks ago we talked about some of the more major books to movies, but I'm a major reader, and a lot of the books that I've read have, been on screen, and a lot of them have sucked, so we're going to talk about those books. Vance, you want to start us off?
Yeah. I read bits and pieces of this one. I watched it, and I thought the movie wasn't all that great anyway. The Da Vinci Code.
I I like the Da Vinci Code. I've seen the movie. It was decent compared to the book. I think I haven't seen the movie in like 3 years. I haven't read the book in even like 4 or 5 years. But was the movie very different from the book?
I don't think so. I don't think
I
so.
don't I don't think it was either. Now I'm Catholic, so a lot of that stuff in the book is heresy to me. But it's still a pretty good movie. I don't remember. Good lord, it's been a long time. Might have to rent that. I haven't seen the second one, The Angels and Demons, but I've read the entire series except for the one that just came out, which I forget what it's called. But those I don't remember the movie being that bad.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. So I guess that'll transition us into you.
Um, Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Okay. This one was, from what I understand, this movie actually received a lot of criticism, but I thought it was pretty good.
Did you read the
Considering
books?
I did read the books.
Okay, I was gonna say, because if you read the books, you shouldn't be saying that because that movie was kind of trash.
They
I
could have done a lot better. I'll admit
Yes,
they
they
could have
could
done a
have.
heck of a lot better, but I honestly really liked it.
Now I watched the movie before I read the books. I broke the sacred rule of book readers. But the problem with the movie is that they lumped together the first 3 books of the series.
Yeah, that is what bothered me about that.
Each of those books could have been maybe not its own movie, but maybe a TV special. Because the books themselves aren't that long. They're a very quick read. I could probably read half the series in a day if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But
'Cause honestly,
they're at
I really like the books, and I liked the movie, but I seriously don't think it did it justice.
yeah, the books when it was like when I was in 5th grade through like 7th grade, I think is how old I was when I was obsessed with a series of unfortunate events. I freaking loved those books. I read them like all the time. I think I read the whole series at least 6 or 7 times in my entire in between those 2 years. Um, they were actually with the movie. They were gonna make it a stop motion movie and combine all the books, the first 3 books of the series together. It was gonna be even worse than
Yeah, stop motion would have
as they been.
been. Oh my god.
And fun fact, they were gonna do the combine the first 3 books thing with Harry Potter.
Oh god, no.
They were gonna try to do that with the Harry Potter movies.
See, here's the
That
thing. Here's the thing. You cannot combine 3 books into a
oh
single
yeah
movie. It cuts out way
oh
too much because most movies have that budget, and that budget allots you maybe like what, 2, maybe even 3 hours for Lord of the Rings.
yeah
A lot of
4 or 3
movies
books.
can't afford to be longer than 2 to 2.5 hours, and lumping together 3 whole books would cut out way too much.
Yeah, especially books like Harry Potter. Like you can sort of forgive the series of unfortunate events just because they're so short, and a lot of the stuff in them is filler, or at least the author narrating and telling just weird stories. Like that's you can forgive the series of unfortunate events, but you couldn't do that with Harry Potter. You would
Or
cut out everything important in those books, and it would just be a terrible movie.
Right, because all the important things are what makes it probably one of the best TV or movie series of all time, in
Yeah.
my opinion. And I know
Oh,
you said that the last 3 you didn't particularly care for, But there's a reason the Harry Potter franchise is one of the highest grossing movie franchises of all time.
Right. Oh, definitely. Um, I forget what I was going to. Go ahead. You can bring up another one if you have one, or we can
Uh,
expand on.
uh, I do not actually.
One that I. So I mentioned. Which one did I mention? Did I go over how The Hobbit was kind of bad, even though I said it was good?
I think you did.
Okay. Did I go over how? Oh dear, dear. Inkheart. You ever read the book Inkheart?
Never even heard of it.
You have not heard of Inkheart?
Heard of Braveheart?
You haven't? Oh, okay, yes, we've all heard of Braveheart, but Inkheart. I haven't read the book in a long time. I own it. I own the first two. I don't have the last one. But Inkheart is a good book. Basically, the basic plot of the story is there's this guy, and when he reads a book out loud, he can have what like a character from that book will appear in our world. So for example, if I were to read Lord of the Rings out loud, depending on what part I read, if I read a passage with Bilbo in it, Bilbo would appear in our world.
Huh.
But there's a catch. If someone is sent out, somebody has to be sent in. So if you read the book, if somebody appears, somebody from your own world who's near you goes into the book. And this man reads this. One night he reads a book out loud to his family, his wife and his daughter, and a character pops out, and his wife goes in.
Oh wow.
And it's a great book. If you love books, it's a book for book lovers. That's how one critic described it. It's a great book, but like I said, I haven't read it in a while. But I do remember the movie was pretty disappointing because it wasn't as deep or as rich as the book was. The movie stars Brendan Fraser. I'm pretty sure you know who that is, don't you?
For those of you
Yeah.
who have lived under a rock their entire lives, Brendan Fraser is the main character in the Mummy franchise.
Which I actually just watched the first time. I just watched The Mummy a couple of days ago.
Really?
Yeah, for the first time. But yeah, Brendan. It was good. It was a very good movie. I'll elaborate more on that after
The
we
last
hang
one
up.
wasn't that good.
I've only seen the first one, but no, Inkheart was very disappointing to me. If I like the movie, it's a good movie, but it could have been better. A lot of book to movies could have been better. But you sure you don't have any more, Vance? Because if you don't,
not yet.
Okay. This one, I know we say book to movie, but I'm also going to do different media to different movie to movie. Because there's one I just thought of, even though it's not a book. It was very popular, and it does have a movie. Doctor Who. In 1996, they released a Doctor Who movie. It was American-made. Now that, first things first, that should be like a major red flag. America tries to make a Doctor Who special. It was, I don't know if it was theatrical or if it just premiered on TV. I think it was just on TV. But dear God, do not give Americans access to Doctor Who.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually watched part of this movie. I watched the first half hour of this movie, and I shut it off because I couldn't bear to watch this beloved franchise be flushed down the American media toilet.
I watched the entire thing because I wasn't going to be able to call myself a fan of Doctor Who if I didn't watch the movie, because it is canon. That stuff is actually legit in the Doctor Who universe, or the Who-niverse.
I'm sorry, I don't care if it's canon or not. I cannot bear to see what else that movie has to offer. And
it was bad. I didn't like what they did with it. They could have gone in a much better direction. It could have been a much better plot. As a matter of fact, I can barely remember the plot. All I know is the Master was in it, and something on New Year's, and there's a Chinese kid. That's all I remember from it.
What Doctor was it?
It was the Eighth Doctor.
Eighth Doctor. Right.
This
was right before the Time War.
Yeah, because after 1996, Doctor Who went on hiatus until 2005. But it was the first out of two appearances on screen by the Eighth Doctor. The second one being there's a little short special before the 50th anniversary where it shows him regenerating into the Ninth Doctor. It was, or not the Ninth Doctor, the War Doctor. He regenerates into the old dude. But yeah, that was not a good movie. That it made my skin crawl a little bit.
Yeah. Um, I do have one I want to talk about. I don't know if you ever read the book. Um, True Grit. Um,
I have
very
not
old,
nor seen the movie.
very old book. And the 1969 John Wayne film is absolutely iconic, but there was a 2010 update starring, I believe, Jeff Bridges, Josh Brolin.
And some female that I can't remember her name.
Yeah. And, yeah, the John Wayne movie was awesome, iconic. But the reboot fell short because the dialogue was flat, the
Hmm.
interactions between characters seemed boring, and the action of the overall movie was bland, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
there's no way anyone can live up to the expectations set forth by Wayne. And I think
Oh,
that's what a lot of people were looking for. Is this movie going to be, as good? Is it going to come close? And that's the problem. It didn't even come close. Because I've watched both the John Wayne version, which I love, and the 2010 reboot, or
hmm.
update. I honestly hate the 2010 update. Because it's
Yeah.
taken this beautiful book that was awesome and it trashed it.
I I've never read True Grit. It was on my list for like my entire high school year because the school library had it and I'd always see it and I would tell myself to take it out and to read it, but I never got around to it. I've never seen any of the movies, but it looks like it's a good story. And usually, in my opinion, remakes of a classic movie usually end up sucking. True Grit, Total Recall. I don't know if you've heard of that.
What is it?
Have you heard of? It's called Total Recall.
Is that the new movie that came out just
There
like last year?
there is an older one from the '80s with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Of course.
No, the original Total Recall is, in my opinion, one of the best science fiction movies ever made. It was fantastic. I didn't even see the new one because I watched the trailer and I almost threw up.
I haven't seen the original.
The original
I,
one, if
now,
you can, huh? Go ahead.
now that I know there's an original, I desperately want to see it. Because when the trailer for Total Recall came out, I had never seen the original, never even knew there was an original. So I kind of wanted to see it, but I've never gone and seen it. So now I kind of want to
Right.
go see the Schwarzenegger.
It is the biggest mind warping movie I have ever seen.
You never seen Inception?
I've never seen Inception. I've heard of Inception, but believe me, when you watch Total Recall, you'll be like, wait, huh? I've seen Total Recall 3 times now, and I still have no freaking clue what the heck is going on. It's a good movie. It was the original story. It's actually based off a book or a short story. I've never read the short story because I can never find it. It was based off a short story by God, I can't remember, but he also wrote another one called Minority Report. You ever seen that one?
No.
Minority Report. It actually takes place in the same universe as Total Recall, but Minority Report is basically it takes place in the future, and there's now this new technology that allows police officers to see a crime happen and prevent it from happening. They can see into the future and see a crime being committed, and then go arrest the criminal before it's committed.
Huh.
It was a very it was a very interesting take on a. It was a very interesting plot, very interesting movie. I liked it a lot,
Yeah.
but it starred Tom Cruise. That's probably like the only downside of that movie, but wasn't wasn't bad. It was a good sci-fi movie. It's a very good sci-fi movie.
All right. So I don't know if we talked about this one last time, but there was this horror esque movie called Shutter Island that came out.
I've heard of it, never seen it, because I
Um,
don't do
it
horror.
started out as a book. I didn't know that. The difference between the movie and the book, I've read part of the book. Um, you know,
Hmm.
but it wasn't something I could really get into. And then I saw the movie. I went back and looked through the book. The movie lacked the tension, suspense, and intrigue of Dennis Lehane's writing. Instead, it became an entirely unsubtle commercial for its own cleverness and plot twists.
Hmm.
Sure, it's got competent acting by Leonardo DiCaprio and Mark Ruffalo, but even their acting couldn't save this film. And at just over 2 hours, it felt like 3. The dialogue was often painful and plot points remained frustratingly unclear. The whole thing felt like an exercise in waiting for it to be over. In contrast, the book was engaging and dynamic, with a well-explained plot and excellent pacing, good enough to reread.
Yeah, I've like I said, never seen Shutter Island.
It's worth the read. It's actually a pretty good book.
Okay, the book's good, but the movie's not.
Yeah, movie sucks.
I will definitely put it on my list because that does look like a good book.
It is a horror book, so.
I can do horror books. I can't do horror movies
Or horror games, apparently.
or horror games. If I can see it, I can't do it. If I can imagine it, it's fine.
Alright, whatever.
Yeah. Ooh, another book to movie adaptation, except it's not an actual book, it's a comic book, but they still count because they're books. Spider-Man.
Ooh.
And I don't even mean the new
I'm pretty
ones.
sure.
I mean,
I'm pretty sure we already didn't we already talk about this one?
did we talk about Spider-Man?
I don't know if we did or not. Let's do it anyway.
I'm gonna do it anyway.
It's worth revisiting.
Not the Amazing Spider-Man. Those movies are great.
The Amazing Spider-Man is amazing.
I'm talking about the 3 Tobey Maguire movies that I'm pretty sure we did talk about, but I absolutely hate now.
It's worth revisiting.
Yeah, I mean, he freaking has his webs biological. Like, they're biological webs. Like, what? Oh, God, I hated those movies. I'm trying to think of another... Ooh. Here's one that you wouldn't really expect, but I just remembered. Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Oh my god. Oh dear god. Where do we even begin with that?
Those movies were kind of cringeworthy. And they're still making books. I don't even know what number book they're at now. I think it's like 8 or 9.
Yeah. I mean, I thought they had the first one, Roderick Rules, and the third one, which was like, I don't know what it was called.
They have the first one, Roderick Rules, Last Straw, Dog Days, and
I thought they were done at Dog Days. I honestly thought they were done at Dog Days.
They have Ugly Truth, and then there's Cabin Fever, Third Wheel. There's so many of them now, and I've only read up to Ugly Truth. I have not read any of the others.
I read to Last Straw, and I stopped. They came out with Dog Days, and I thought they were done. I didn't even know they were still making them. Honestly, I think the books are cringeworthy, but the movies are just juvenile in nature and have points of that just disgust me.
Yeah, the books, they were good. Like, the first one was good. It was a good concept. It was a great idea. But, you know, once you start making money off of it and you just kind of keep
It's a cash
going
grab.
with it.
That's all it's ever been.
Yeah, it was. Those movies are just kind of terrible. And they made this third one into a movie, didn't they?
I don't remember Last Straw. I remember Roderick Rules. I remember they made Roderick Rules into a movie.
No, maybe they skipped Last Straw because I'm pretty sure it was Dog Days that they had made into a movie. Because, oh yeah, it was. They skipped Last Straw, made Dog Days into a movie, and it looks like I didn't even see the movie, and it looked like nothing like the book was. It was. I don't even know, man. I don't know. Sometimes you just gotta quit while you're ahead, and they didn't do that.
Well, when I said it's juvenile in nature, yeah, the books are meant to be for the juvenile audience, or they're supposed to have that odd sense of humor. But for me, as a reader, honestly, as a reader, I think it's cringeworthy, just the books. But the movies take it a step further, and it's... I could not bring myself to watch the first one because I actually went and saw the first movie in a theater, and about halfway through, I just got up and left because it was so bad.
Yeah. Like I said, I liked the books when they were the first couple ones, but now they've gotten bad. They've gotten bad.
Yeah.
Did I? Ooh, I know what I could talk about. Um, did I cover the last one that we did? Did I talk about Star Trek?
I don't think so.
I'm going to. Now, as you know, Vance, very well, that I'm a major Star Trek
Oh
fan.
yeah. You are a Trekkie.
Love Star Trek more than I love most things, which is sad. But anyway, when Star Trek came out back in 2009, it's what sparked my love for it again. I'd always I've been a Star Trek fan literally my entire life, but there were times where like I wasn't as into it or I wouldn't watch it that much. But then once the 2009 movie came out, I was obsessed with it.
Oh yeah,
Like
because
my
the
dad and I saw it
2009
in
movie
theaters.
was really good. I mean,
Well. It was good if you haven't seen Star Trek.
see,
If
I
you
haven't watched a bunch of Star Trek. That's my thing. I haven't.
Yeah, no, it's a great movie. It's not a good Star Trek movie. That's my thing. Um, it's I watched it. My dad and I saw it in theaters, and it's what brought me back into Star Trek. And since then, I've been watching Star Trek like religiously. I watch it all the time. Now, my main problem with the Star Trek movies, like I said, I do like them. They are good science fiction movies. They feel like Star Wars to me. The thing about the original series of Star Trek, and even throughout the whole franchise, all the Star Trek, series, Star Trek is about exploration. It's about boldly going where no man has gone before.
Right.
And the last two movies, Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness, didn't feel like that. They felt just like action packed, like Star Wars meets Transformers or whatever you want to
Action,
say. I mean,
adventures, explosions, right?
yeah, it was like Michael Bay got a hold of Star Trek. Now,
Which is a scary thought.
yeah, well, oh God, J.J. Abrams ruined it. What would Michael Bay do to it? Oh dear God, I don't want to think about that. Now, I can understand like these two Star Trek movies take place in an alternate universe, so like they at least have that excuse as to why they're not ruining the timeline. But there were even just some parts in Star Trek Into Darkness, even though it's like my favorite out of the two that came out, that just made me absolutely cringe. And the part I'm talking about, have you seen it?
What?
Have you seen Into Darkness?
I have not.
Have you seen Wrath of Khan?
I have not.
Call yourself a nerd. Haven't even seen the greatest science fiction movie ever made. Anyway, I'm kidding.
It's on
Um,
my list. It is on my list to watch.
like that is actually a Star Trek movie you could watch without being familiar with Star Trek. That's how good it is.
Oh.
There is
Is
it's a sequel to an episode, but it is a good enough movie to where you could just watch it and it would still make sense.
is it from Kirk or Picard?
It's Kirk,
Okay.
but it is the best Star Trek movie, best science fiction movie I've ever seen. Anyway, Into Darkness is a parallel to that movie. The main villain in Into Darkness is Khan,
Oh.
played by Benedict Cumberbatch, who wasn't exactly a good choice for the role of Khan, but I can forgive it because it's Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh yeah.
And I'm slightly gay for Benedict Cumberbatch, who isn't. Anyway, back to my main point.
Yes.
In Into Darkness, there is a scene where Kirk has to stop some. This is minor spoilers, but it's not that big a deal. Kirk has to stop some radiation from leaking into the ship, because if it leaks into the ship, there will be massive chaos and the Enterprise will be destroyed. So he has to go into the warp core and reactivate it because the warp core is down, which is what's causing the radiation leak. And in the original Wrath of Khan, it was Spock that had to do that. He was flooding radiation into the ship to stop Khan. So already they've reversed that. Instead of Kirk, it's now instead of Spock, it's now Kirk. So Kirk is in this radiation chamber and he's slowly dying, which is exactly what happened to Spock. He was in a radiation chamber and now he's slowly dying. Into Darkness, Kirk puts his hand as he's dying on the glass and the Vulcan salute. And Wrath of Khan, Spock did that as he was dying.
I guess that's kind of like the salute to the old movie. Oh.
Oh no, it gets worse.
Oh.
There was a. Do you remember Kirk's famous line from Wrath of Khan? You better know the famous line from Wrath of Khan.
Khan.
There you go. He screams Khan, but it was actually, yeah, he screams Khan. Well, in Into Darkness, it's not Kirk that screams it; it's Spock.
Spock?
Yeah, as Spock watches Kirk die, he throws back his head and he yells Khan.
Uh-oh.
And my dad and I, at that part, looked at each other at the same time and just went, "What?" It was, to me, it was a cheap imitation. While it was supposed to be a nod to the original movie, I feel like that's just the one part that they really shouldn't have done. That was I don't know why they decided to do that. Those movies just aren't, compared to the rest of the Star Trek series, with the exception of Nemesis, just aren't that great. Nemesis and Final Frontier.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Anyway, those movies are just kind of bad compared to Star Trek.
Right.
They don't do it justice.
I get the feeling you feel exceedingly strong about this, Alex.
I kind of do. Ask any Star Trek fan. Those movies are not good.
Alright. Well, we're running out of time, so if you beautiful nerds out there have enjoyed, remember to leave a rating and consider subscribing. And signing off for my friend Alex. I forgot what I was going to say. Stay nerdy, my friend.
They see me mowing my front lawn. I know they're all thinking I'm so wild.